Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to JH Creative and Friends. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited to have this episode and feature our next guest, Madison, who's the owner of Full Herizon. And she is such an awesome person to get to know. I just met her not too long ago. One of my team members reached out to her and she was obviously willing to come on. I'm really thankful that she could take the time to interview today. For those of you who don't know, I am JH Creative, or I am the owner of JH Creative. I'm a designer and I'm a consultant to small businesses. And the reason why I started this show, especially during the shutdowns, I wanted to figure out a way that I can still connect with people and still help small business owners who might be having a hard time getting out there in the public or on social media, or even just to have this platform to be featured on a show. Timing has worked out perfectly to be on with Chrissy Souter. She's running the show from behind the scenes today, so I really appreciate her doing that and her offering her services to make this show happen. So it's been about 12 episodes now, and or almost 14. This could be the 14th one. I've lost track of the number of episodes, but we are in that range. And so just to mention briefly too a little bit about Madison before I introduce her, is that she is an FSU student, and I'm going to ask her some questions too, like what is she majoring in and what inspired her to get started with Full Herizon and things like that. But she has a dancing background. She's super talented. Ever since she was 11 years old, she was inspired about empowering women. I mean, she has a story to tell about it's more like an origin story too. It's not like it just was a spontaneous thing. I'm just going to start a business last year, right, in 2020. So anyways, I really appreciated her story and her coming on. So Madison, I'd love to give you the floor, so to speak, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me hop on today. I'm literally so excited to be here. But like Julia said, I'm Madison. I'm currently a student at FSU studying marketing. And I opened my store up this August 2020 after both of my summer internships got canceled due to COVID. And basically, I always had this burning sensation in my heart that I wanted to help women start their own self-love journey after I danced for 11 years and I developed a lot of body image issues. So I decided to start my own earring company. And since then, it's been an incredible journey, a learning experience to say the least, but I'm loving every second of it.
I love that. And on your social, you look like you're loving it. I mean, you're just always smiling. You have so much positive energy. And I love this. Thank you, Chrissy. She's brought up the website to show. I mean, I just love that. So what caused you to name your company Full Herizon? Like, of course, it makes sense. It's such a brilliant brand, Herizon. So kind of tell me a little bit about the story about that.
Yeah, I actually love that question because I feel like not a lot of people ask me that. But basically, Full Herizon started because originally I just always loved the saying, like, spread your sunshine, because I feel like we all have unique talents and it's important to be kind to others. So I feel like sunshine is a great correlation to just kindness. But then also with both of my internships being canceled, I was going on my own entrepreneurial journey. And for me, that's like a new horizon that I'm facing. So basically, with just a whole bunch of play off of words, it all kind of intersected together to be Full Herizon.
That's awesome. I had already jumped the gun, and I did talk about some main points that we were going to cover. So of course, I want to know a little bit more too about like when you started your business. Were you a little nervous about starting it, especially since you're a student and you're a senior, right? In 2020, you started pretty much in your senior year.
Yeah, so I'm actually still a junior. It's my last junior. But yeah, no, but pretty much at this point I'm basically at this point I'm basically a senior, it feels like. But it was really nerve-wracking because I think for everyone, it's nerve-wracking just to put yourself out on social media saying that you're starting a new project that you literally have no experience with. So I was really fearful of just failing, which I think is really common among a lot of people. Like, I didn't want to tell a lot of people because I was so nervous I was going to fail. But after reading a lot of like self-help books and just really thinking through the entire process, I realized I was already setting myself up to fail by not putting myself out there. And I think that's the biggest misconception that there is, that no one's going to support you and that it's just not going to work out. But when you reach out to people, like, people are so eager to help you. And there's so many amazing resources out there that it made the transition really easy once I changed my mindset that, you know, this is going to be a lot bigger than what I think. I have like index cards all on this wall right here of just all these affirmations, like, it is time for my success. I am my own success story. And I think those have really helped guide my entire experience.
I love that. And you reminded me of Sarah Blakely's story, because she read self-help books during a really difficult time. And we were just fangirling earlier talking about her. And it's true. It's really about the mindset. And Sarah Blakely's story is just that. Like, she started thinking like it's going to happen, you know, and I love her story too. We can talk a little bit more about that later. But so you had the mindset, you got it started, didn't think about like the failure. And I love you brought the point out. It's like, it's almost like you're automatically just failing by not trying at all. You're setting up yourself for failure. So tell me about your journey this whole year during the shutdowns. Has it been a struggle, or has it been like amazing?
So I think that a lot of like people were really affected by the pandemic, and like it was a really hard time for like everyone just adjusting. But I think starting my business during the pandemic was almost the perfect time, since everything was so unnormal that I was able to get kind of a new schedule down pat with that. So having all that time really allowed me to put it all into like social media, trying new things out. So I really transitioned and put a heavy emphasis on social media, especially TikTok. And through TikTok, my account grew tremendously. I have around 12,000 followers at the moment, which is absolutely crazy. And it just really helped me through the pandemic. I just constantly was getting messages from other women being like, what you're doing is incredible. Like, I've never seen anyone do this before. I feel seen. I had a mom saying like, I can't wait for my daughter to see these earring card holders and like actually see herself as a model, to feel beautiful. And that was just like super touching to me. And I think being able to talk to so many women through this journey and meeting so many people really just kept that momentum going for me, because I realized it's not about myself anymore. It's not about how much money I make. Like, it's all about the impact that my brand's going to have. And that's what I encourage everyone to do, is just when you start your passion project, kind of finds that why, like that bigger meaning behind just selling a product.
Yes, exactly. And there's so many cases where sometimes businesses forget that, or don't even realize the importance of that. The real big picture, the vision, the why. Because if you focus on just sales and products and just advertising those things, eventually people really don't care. It's true, absolutely true. And I'm so glad you're focusing on that, and you're doing a great job on your why and executing it on your social. And I think that's also a big factor in your growth on TikTok. You're consistent with it.
Yeah, like, you know, you always hear people saying like consistency is key. And like, you would always hear that, but like, sometimes you don't always implement what you hear. You're like, all right, yeah, like I'll get to it. But honestly, consistency has helped me tremendously, whether that's just like making sure I at least post one time every 2 days, or you don't have to go out and go like ham and post like 3 times a day in order to be claimed as consistent. Like, consistency can look like 1 time a week. It's just, you just constantly need to be putting yourself out there and having that on your mind in order to see a difference over time. I read a book, The Compound Effect, which is literally the best book I think I've ever read, about how all of these small steps and small actions that you take every single day snowball into something so much bigger in a 5 years time. And honestly, I recommend anyone to read that book because it also completely changed my mindset on how I take on my mornings and how I take on my daily routines.
No, it's true. It's true. I really wish that colleges would have kids, or just, obviously young people, I'm suggesting, but even high schoolers, I wish self-help curriculum was really part of the education, and even stories like entrepreneurship and the change of mindset. And I really like that you have mentioned the compound effect as well. And so you're in here for the long term. It's not just a hobby, I'm guessing, but sometimes hobbies turn into thriving businesses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you manage it being a student and you have an internship, right? And doing this, how has that been? Even though you're a junior, coming into your senior year, it's going to get crazier. What are you doing to manage all of that?
Yeah, so I love that question because I do get that a lot because they're like, how do you have time for everything? Like, you even have friends? Like, how does that even work for you? Like, and it's honestly just making everything a priority. So to me, my store is pretty much my priority. Like, it's something that fulfills me in life. Like, I see myself going really far with it. And I think that's really important to put yourself first, which is another reason why I started my store, because I know a lot of moms, I know a lot of women in general put so many others people in front of themselves, like their kids, which is great. Like, yes, like you need to take care of your kids, you need to be there for your family, but you also need to give yourself that time to like give back to yourself. So I like buy myself flowers, I take myself out to dinner, like I have no shame at all to spend that time with myself. So with my store, it's something that's a hobby, but also it just fulfills me so much more than what Netflix would, more than what like social media would ever fulfill me in. So it's something that I truly enjoy doing, to where it doesn't feel like work. It's something that just happens naturally.
I love that. It's so good. You recently, I recently listened to something that Brendan Burchard said that you pretty much triggered that memory. So he said that people wait till the end of their career to retire and relax, but there's burnout in that, with the results of that. So I love how you're taking the time to take care of yourself and really just focus on putting yourself first. And it's true, women just put ourselves, we tend to do that. Moms, especially, we're the worst. I'm a mom of 4 kids, so I was really bad at it in the beginning, especially running my business. But eventually in time, I realized like I have to start putting myself first in some cases so I could actually be complete for my kids, for my husband, and for my team. So
I love that.
I just appreciate that you're part of your market audience is a bunch of moms too, like really cheering you on. So one of the things I also wanted to ask you too, so I talked about starting a business as a student. And then we talked about the balance of it all. You also have a podcast, which is really impressive. You're not just, that's a whole nother business in itself too. So you're putting yourself in great positions, really. You're setting yourself up for success. I mean, one thing or the other, it's going to happen. I really think that a lot of young people can learn from you. How do you get yourself from being like an unproductive, like a Netflix binger person, which is me. When I'm in my low point, I will binge a ton. But what has helped you? I don't know if you've ever had slow periods where you're just like, there's no way I'm gonna get through this. I have my low points too, but sometimes listening to things and reading books and things like that have really helped me.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention too, like being a Netflix binger and like.
Hi Morgan, do you see that? Someone's commenting.
Yeah, my sister, she's so sweet. She's so supportive. But she sorry, I lost my train of thought. But back to the Netflix binger. Like, it's perfectly okay to be a Netflix binger and just like have those moments of slow periods. Like, I'm not saying I'm here like Miss Perfect. Like, there's weeks that I literally can't book a podcast guest. For like literally a month, I didn't have a podcast guest because I just could not find someone to be on my show. It's just everyone has such slow periods, but it's just kind of sticking back to that why. I have vision boards posted all over my room of like where I want to end up. And I think it's so important to be specific. So when you are unproductive and you need to take that time to really just think like, where do you want to end up? Like, do you want to be a CEO of your own company? Do you want to own your own bakery? Like, what is your dream job essentially? And then break that down into small chunks. So maybe that's going to local bakeries every week to see what you like about it and what you don't like about it. So that way, when you do open your own bakery, you know exactly what to do. And then also self-help books. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero is like the first self-help book I ever read, but yet like that just sparked my motivation for life. And then The Compound Effect. I listen to lots of different podcasts, like How I Built This by Guy Raz.
I love that. Yeah.
Favorite. I listen to that probably every single day. It's just surrounding yourself with the resources to keep you motivated and just constantly reminding yourself of why are you doing this?
Yes.
And, like, to go back, this is like something I'm so passionate about that I really kind of figured out this year. Was I used to always be like, oh, when I'm 50 years old, I'm going to go on like 60-minute walks in the morning. Then I'm going to drink a smoothie. I'm going to like go to the beach and do all this stuff. When now I can't even wake up like before 9 o'clock without like crying, like having the word, like I am not a morning person at all. So it's about like taking your end goal and breaking it down. So if you want to do those morning walks, why don't you just do that now? Stop putting so much pressure on like 5 years from now and start working on yourself now.
Yeah.
If that all kind of correlates together. I don't know if I worded that right.
Yes, no. And before diving into the next topic, which is, I wanted to ask you more about what kind of tactics you implemented. I know you mentioned being consistent with your social media and everything. One thing that you also brought up was vision boards, and that is key. I think when you put it down in paper or when you say it to yourself and you just kind of repeatedly just know that you have to believe it really is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even finish it yet. I'm still getting through it. The audiobook for Think and Grow Rich, that one is a classic, and apparently it's one of the reasons why there's a lot of concepts in business. It stems from that, and it's really about like you have to believe that it's going to happen. You know, if there's any negative mindset or it's not going to happen, you only limit yourself, right, from making it happen. So with your vision boards, like, are you sketching them out? Do you have a planner? Sometimes I journal. That helps me. How do you kind of go through the process? Do you do it every day?
So I think I would like to say I do it every day, but I don't. But I normally every year, I guess I would say, or not even every year, probably every quarter, I just go on Pinterest and I just type in everything that I want, like from the coffee shop I want to study at, to the outfits I want to wear in 5 years, to the car I want to drive, the different sunroom I want
to have
in my house. Yes, I'm all about windows, so I'm like, natural lighting is key. So I print those pictures out and I have like kind of I just have me time with it, and then I paste them all on a board in the different directions. Like I group them together based off of the goals. So like this is all my store goals. This is all my like when I'm a mom goal. And then I have it all posted around. Like I have probably 4 giant poster boards right now, like all around my desk, to where every morning I wake up, I look at those boards, and every night before I go to bed, I look at those boards. And even though I'm not like actively journaling about that, which I normally do probably once every 2 weeks, I like sit down and like really reflect on what are my results and then what do I need to do to get to my next goal. But like I'm actively just looking at those boards every single day, probably every hour, just like going in and out like with groceries or anything, and that really reminds me of why am I doing what I'm doing, and that just helps.
You've really inspired me that I need to visually have like a scrapbook of what I would love. I dream about a Range Rover. When I see one drive by once in a while, I'm like, I want one.
Yes.
But I do, like, I write things out more often, but I really should just capture, like, I want some pictures, and I'll be like looking at it like, this is a reminder. Besides my financial goals, I need to, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. I love that. Well, one of the other questions, okay, so let's dive into the social media.
Okay.
Right? So you had mentioned, I know when we last had a conversation, you get a lot of business from social media, right? So it's a lot from TikTok and from Instagram. And so tell me what the customer journey is like for someone who happens to see you on social. How do they purchase from you from there?
Yeah, so usually, especially TikTok, I've gotten a lot of just people coming from TikTok, and then they normally transition through to Instagram. I have the links in my bio for my website, like on each of those sites. So they purchase through my website. And basically how I've pretty much used social media to gain customers, because I think that's like the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with, which, I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but what has worked for me is just being consistent, like we were talking about earlier, and then also putting social media out that you think that you would engage with. Like, that's the process for me, is when I'm going on TikTok and I'm looking at small businesses, or I'm looking at big businesses and big brands, and something catches my eye. Like, why did this picture catch my eye? What about this caption is making me read this? And that is like the entire process I do. That's why I probably spend way too much time on social media, is because I literally analyze every single piece of content that catches my eye. I'm like, why am I so engaged to buy this product? Or I'm walking around in the store and I'm like, why is this packaging making me want to buy this? And I think when you start breaking down those reasons, even when you're just going in the grocery store, like, why do I want to buy like this face mask all of a sudden, or like this piece of candy? That really helps with creating your content to start gaining more followers.
And you hit the nail on the head there. It's like you're being consistent with why, your products are based on your why.
Yeah.
And also you look at what works for others. One of the things that I notice is that people are trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to social media, or they're not doing anything that already works. Really, marketing is all about just testing different things that works for your business and what resonates with your customer.
Yeah.
And one of the other things too that I'm glad you brought up too is you're studying from bigger brands that actually, they do a ton of tests internally. They have huge teams. You might as well just take what they're doing.
Yeah.
The concepts and the tactics, right? So that's a really smart move right there.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that about reinventing the wheel, because I think that's what really made me hesitant to start my own business, was because I was like, there's literally so many jewelry stores. Like, I know a neighbor, I know like a college friend that started her own like Etsy store, and it made me get imposter syndrome. Like, why am I so qualified to start this store? But it is so true. It's each person has their own talents, their own strengths, their own weaknesses. Like, if it wasn't for me, like, these earring cards would not even exist, essentially. So it's just putting your own passions and what you personally like into the store will set you so apart. But you have to own up to that. Like, you shouldn't be like comparing yourself too much to other businesses and brands to kind of form into them. You should also be yourself in a way. So you need to like take those things that you analyze with a grain of salt and to apply to your own store. If that is kind of guiding, it's like a fine line that you kind of have to feel, but you'll kind of get into the groove of things once you start your business.
So how did you discover the vendors, or where did you find these places that sell these types of boutiques? I mean, I imagine you make some of the jewelry, and are you selling some of your jewelry, or are you also purchasing from others as well that make this?
Yeah, so I purchased through different vendors. So eventually I would love to start designing my own earrings, but that just a lot of capital to start off with that. So that will be in probably a couple of months, I'll say, but it'd probably be more so in like a year or so. But yeah, so I basically just did a simple Google search. It's amazing how many resources are available on the internet if you just look. And I think that's a common misconception, that people think that they need to be asking, like, I don't know, like Jeff Bezos, like, how did you do this? When really it's all on Google and all in different books you can read, social media, YouTube. I YouTube like all these different like answers, like what should I host my website on? What apps should I use? And the resources are there. You just need to put yourself out there to find them.
Yeah, no, it's really true. I mean, sometimes people are overwhelmed at the thought of just putting in the work to Google something.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, do you do specific searches too? Like, jewelry designed by women of color, things like that, or different, maybe is there an association that has connections to these jewelers? What else do you do?
Yeah, so I love that question, because like something that I found out that was really interesting too is that you can actually do wholesalers through Etsy, which I think is amazing, because there are also some like small business owners. But if you do a simple search in Etsy, like wholesalers here, so that way you can kind of filter it to be like woman owned or like women of color, because I love supporting women in general. So
yeah.
That's something that I really found. I haven't looked into it that much, but I just found that out probably like last week, and I thought that was really interesting. So if you're thinking about doing something and supporting women, that's an awesome way to do it too.
I love that too. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Do you market yourself in other ways besides social, or is it primarily through social? And then I know you have like a loyal customer email list, right?
Yes. So I do all my social media, and then I also have an email list, which I think is really interesting too, because I started my email list because I'm someone that I'm really bad at emailing most of the time, like especially if businesses are emailing me like, oh, this is a special deal. Like, I hate getting emails every single day, which is something that I wanted to change for my business. Like, I know I hate getting spams with email, so I'm only going to send out one email once a week on Sundays. So Sundays, our store is open for 24 hours. You get an email, and then also our Sundays podcast episode goes live. So Sundays are our big day of fun.
I love that. And I remember you mentioned to me that it is like a limited time or special that you might offer for that day, right? So
yes.
So people love that, how you focus on Sundays, and then it just kind of goes wild. You sell a lot.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you that like you don't need to be opened all the time. Like you can do it as much as you can. So like for me, I can only do Sundays really to like help balance with like all my schedule going on.
Yeah.
And then also as like just a tactic with marketing with like scarcity.
Right.
And that has helped tremendously too. So don't be afraid to try things that are out of the box and not ordinary, because who knows, it could really work out for you.
So the other thing too that you've added, obviously, as to me, is like a branding strategy and a stream of content marketing, is podcasting. So I'm curious to see, how are you landing your guests? I got a chance to listen to a show, and I was like, wow, she's got some awesome guest lineups.
Yes. Yeah. So it's actually great. I take a lot of pride in this because I love mailing cards, and I'm kind of like old fashioned in heart. So I love handwritten cards. So it kind of all started with me when I needed a summer internship, and I mailed a card to the CEO of Aerie. And through that experience, the CEO emailed me thanking me for the handwritten card. And then that really sparked in me like, wow, like I literally just randomly mailed her a card, and she got in contact with me. And then we started working out details to be a summer intern, but then COVID hit, so that didn't work out. But it just showed me like how easily connected we are to everyone. So that's the mindset that I keep when I reach out to podcast guests, is no one is out of reach. So I am emailing CEOs of just like big $1 million companies. I just had Her Campus, the president of Her Campus, on our show. This Sunday, we have Tia, the founder of Freelancing Females, which is a huge Facebook group. If you're not a part of, you should join. So it's just not being afraid to reach out to those big names, even though you have a smaller account, because most of the time they do want to support the smaller people because they've been there before, so they know. So it's been a really cool experience being able to connect to so many women.
And I'm noticing too, because even though podcasting has been around for many years now, it's blown up. Obviously, it's like even in the last year because of COVID, more podcasts are popping out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of experts, people who are successful too, will take the time to interview. Maybe even just for a person who ran a business for many years successfully, and they didn't get a lot of public publicity, right? They didn't get a lot of features in the news or things. So it gives them an opportunity to tell their story. So I think it's amazing. I love your outlook, your positive outlook, and reaching out to millionaire CEOs, and I love that. So so I really hope that your podcast continues to grow. And it seems like you were telling me you have a good amount of downloads still, even though you might not have. So you have a total amount of listeners. Is that how they evaluate the analytics for that?
Yeah, so the platform I use is Anchor, and so far I have like 800 downloads, so far like 800 plays on my podcast, which I am so over the moon about. Like that, I'm really proud of that. And then I get around 50 listeners, which didn't start happening until this month. Before, I mean, again, it's just being consistent and starting off, because literally the first episode I posted, I got 10 listens, which I was like, what in the world? My second episode, I got 3 listens. And then it was so small in the beginning, and it took a long time to get built up to this point. But going back to the compound effect, it's those small steps like snowball into something so much bigger.
I think one of the hardest things for people who are starting up is being consistent and doing the little things.
Yes.
And you're doing a great job with that too. And I love that compound effect has really made an impact. Yeah. So I'm seeing also the long-term results. One of the things I recently heard, one of my favorite podcasts, Marketing School podcast, Eric Sue and Neil Patel, they used to have maybe 8 downloads a day for several years, and they've only had a podcast for maybe 4 years or so, and now they're getting 35 million downloads. It's tremendous. You'd think, okay, it's just a few, and then someone just gives up too early. Yes. So I think you're on a great track. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, having 50 to me is amazing. I haven't even started my own podcast yet. I'm just like, I need to start my own podcast.
Yeah, no, and it's like so true though, because when I first started my business, I literally had like 50 followers for the longest time, and I would get so discouraged. I was like, how did I only get like 15 likes on my picture? But like, it's so much more than just like how many likes you're getting, because people are probably searching it. People are looking at that and like reminding and like telling other of your friends and family about it. So it's so much bigger than what you think. It's not about the likes. It's not about the followers. You need to do it for yourself, and then not even just for yourself, but for the people that you know you're going to impact.
Yes, it's a long-term strategy, and sometimes it's hard for people to see it that way. And so podcasting is one of those things. And I obviously this live is one of those things. There's other, and we have multiple purposes that overlap for why we do these things. So I think it's awesome. I mean, just even the experience you're going through, having to get the interviews and getting featured, and you can always reshare it in the future. If you sometimes hidden gems just pop out of the interview, and you're just like, oh, awesome, I got that information. I'm getting inspired like just by connecting with you here and learning. Just I wish I had your energy and positivity when I was your age, really. And your generation has so much potential, that you have so much information out there. It's all about digging in and focusing like you're doing, and you're starting at a great time in life. And so one of the things, I don't know if you wanted to bring up some other stuff, but I was going to share your upcoming promo, or your little secret code here that you shared with us.
Yeah, so normally our store is only open on Sundays for 24 hours, but I opened it up today, so that's a big little surprise. And you can use the code FRIENDS for a special discount off of whatever you're purchasing. So I highly recommend you checking it out and seeing what that little surprise is at the end of the checkout.
Yes, please, guys, check this out. She shared this picture with us, and then the code is FRIENDS. For those of you, so it's for today, obviously limited time. Yes. So if anyone happens to see the recording after today, it's not going to apply.
Well, it also will work this weekend too, because I was like, people searching later on. So it's going to end on Monday. So you definitely have the chance to get a good little discount in there.
Perfect. So for those of you who want to know how to get a hold of Madison and follow Full Herizon, these are her handles. Check out her website. She has awesome products on there. Chrissy has it pulled up if you wanted to show her products again. And of course, there's her podcast. I would sign up for her email newsletter, so you're able to follow all her podcasts that come out. And I'm not, if anyone has some questions, I see that we have some listeners. Feel free to shoot them. We're not in a rush to end it or anything like that. But Madison, if there's anything else you'd like to end with, please do mention it.
Yeah, overall, just thank you so much for letting me be on the show. It's been so much fun getting to talk to you and getting to know you through this entire process. And then also for anyone who's like thinking about starting a business, just do it. Put all your fears aside. Just do it like Nike, and just see like how much you're going to impact people. It's not about the money. It's about who are you going to inspire to do bigger and better things in the world. So that is what I'm going to leave with.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone. For those who were able to hop on today, I just wanted to remind you, just follow me on social if you haven't already. Instagram is more like my micro blog. I might share pictures of my family and some random things here and there. I like to do a little humor. And then there's my website, jhcreative.co. One of the upcoming things that is going on for my team, we recently announced that we're doing our second challenge. I'm going to go ahead and share that on my screen here. It's a challenge on helping people who want to understand branding. So it's branding for beginners. So if you want to learn and understand the process of branding, if Facebook events will just show that. Of course, they're going to show my statistics here. If you want to understand the process of branding within 5 days, go check out this event. The information is all on there. It's live, so each day you'll go through an exercise of just a mini video that you watch of me just giving a demo, and then there's some worksheets and guides for those who pay to get access. So thank you very much again, everyone, for hopping on. Thank you so much, Madison, for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. I had so much fun. Thank you.
So bye, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.